Okay, so as introduction, we need, I'm not sure if you are aware, but we're going to use Jupyter Notebook for our sessions. We're using Python, but to run the code, there are two ways. Either you can use your machine, or if you like to run the code on Colab, then later you can save your copy into your Google Drive. So it's up to you. There are two ways. Now, in order to get the practical files, you need to go to the GitHub. Probably later I'm going to upload inside MS Team, but for now, you can go to GitHub, and then this is practical one. Either you can download file by file, but if you like to download the whole folder, the whole practicals, then you click on the code button, and there's here an option that says download zip. So you need to choose this one. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can run on the machine as well after you install Anaconda. So I already posted one video showing you how you can start with Anaconda. If you haven't seen it yet, then you can go to inside practical and then check this one, introduction, which shows you how you work inside Anaconda and Jupyter Notebook, if you haven't done so. Okay, but I'm going to show you now fast. So after you download the file, then unzip. Okay, then copy the path. It's important that you copy the path, okay, where the folder is located. Okay, then you go to start and find PowerShell and the one with Anaconda. So you see there's one option says Anaconda PowerShell prompt. Anaconda PowerShell prompt. This is if you need to run your files on the local machine. So you need first to install Anaconda, right? So please check the video. It's already shows you the steps. You install it on your device, then you follow these steps. After you run installation to the end, then you go to the start menu and find Anaconda PowerShell prompt. Okay? Yeah, but I forgot one thing. You need to run as administrator. So close it. Again, PowerShell. Then run as administrator. Otherwise, you won't have enough privilege to access the folder. Sometimes you may get this error message. Okay, so now it says administrator, Anaconda PowerShell prompt. Then you write here Jupyter lab. Jupyter lab. Then you put inside double quotation the path where your files are located, the path that just we copied earlier, right? So here I copied the path. If you don't know how to copy the path, just you click anywhere on the address box, then you copy your path, and then go back here and make sure you put this address inside enclosed in double quotation. Okay, so far so good? Okay. Once done, click or press enter. Okay, so now this is Jupyter Lab environment, and notice that we are running inside the browser using localhost and port 8888. Now, if you check on the left-hand side where you have the file browser, if you don't have it, you can click on this icon, file browser, and then you can see all the folder content that you have specified along with this path. Right? This is why we have specified this path earlier. So we can easily navigate inside data mining files or the practical files. So you can check on the browser side here. You should have all the content for the folder. So far, we have only practical one. You open practical one, then there's prac.ip Y and B. So interactive Python notebook. Okay, you can double click, and then you are now inside practical one. There's another file called data.csv we're going to use later inside this practical. Okay. So this is one way how you can work inside Jupyter Lab. If you like to run your own Jupyter Lab, let's say you are working on your assignment or just you're doing some testing, then you go to the launcher. If you don't have it, no problem. You go to File, then New Launcher. Then you choose Notebook, Python 3. Now you got a new empty notebook that you can use for your own. Okay? Any question? Okay. So this is one way, or another way, if you like to use Colab, it's possible. You go back to the GitHub, to the link of GitHub, then you can try to open the practical file one, but of course here you cannot run any environment, just you can browse. Okay, you cannot do any Python coding. You cannot run your code. So just you copy, and then you need to go to Colab. Then you go to File, and then open Notebook. Then GitHub, you put the link, you press Search, and then you have everything also running inside Colab. Okay, this might be more convenient later when you are working on the assignment, since the assignment is going to be group work. So you can have maybe one GitHub among you and then share the link for the practical or the assignment among you. Of course, make it private, the repository, and then, but probably you need some privilege. You need to try to see if you need to have username and password when you try to open the notebook. Now, this is the good thing. If you have Google Drive or your own GitHub, let's say you have done some amendment or you wrote your own notes inside Notebook. So actually at any time, you can save a copy inside your Google Drive or inside GitHub. If you have an account on GitHub, then you can save your own copy. So you don't need to use any USB drive or upload your copy into your email. Okay, after each session. Because you need to maintain your files. I think after you leave the class here, when they restart all the PCs, all your files is going to be deleted. So you won't be able to maintain your files for next session. Okay, now here you can run Python. You can run the code inside. But of course, you need to click Connect first. But now you need to sign in. So just you sign in using your Google account. Okay, then you can run Python code inside or do your amendment or whatsoever. Okay, so you have two methods to work on these practicals. Either you use Google Colab or just you run on your local machine. Well, you need to install Anaconda in this case. Okay, you need to ensure that you install Anaconda first to your machine. Okay, any question? Okay, then let's go back here to the local machine. I don't need now to sign in. So the first practical session is about Python basics. As I understand that most of you have no knowledge of Python, except 3 experts. I don't know who they are yet, maybe later to identify, but you need, as I told you, you need to try to explore your own, because this course is not about teaching you Python, right? This course is about data mining. So I cannot spend much time teaching you Python. So try please on your own to enhance your skills and knowledge in Python. Okay, you can use Colab at any time. Just you can access, try to run some code, see how things work. Okay. Now let's just get familiar very fast with Jupyter Notebook before I do any running. So now if I go back to the launch, if I go to the launcher and then open new notebook. Okay, so this is new notebook created for me. If you want to name your notebook, you can right click on the title and rename your notebook. Let's say this is test 1, for example. Okay, then you click save. Now, if you open the file browser, you should find your file. You should find your file is already located there. Okay. So I have created one file called test1 notebook. Now, the good thing about notebook is actually like document. You can write notes. You can write, even include HTML if you like to have very nice formatting for your text documenting. In addition, you can run Python code inside. So in order to write any code or text or whatever, you need to go to the cells. So here right now, I have a single cell inside this notebook. Now here I can come, for example, and let's just type the simple hello world command in Python. So I need to use print function and then type hello world. Okay. Now, in order to run Python inside Notebook, there are many ways. Either you can click on this. So it says run the selected cells and advance, or you could just click Shift plus Enter. Okay. But you need to select if you have many cells. So you need to refer or select first the cell that you wish to execute. Then you click on this button. Or just if you like, if you are a person who likes to use keyboard a lot, then just you can use Shift plus Enter. Shift plus Enter will run the current cell and advance to the next cell. Since we don't have any next cell, it's going to create a new one for us. So if I click Shift plus Enter, so it has run the current Python code, and this is the output. The output will be shown below the cell itself. Then it will be advanced to the next cell. Or another way of executing the current cell, I select, then you click Control plus Enter. But the difference between Shift plus Enter or Control plus Enter, that Control plus Enter execute the current cell and stays there. It doesn't advance or goes to the next cell. Okay? So you may try Control plus Enter. It will only execute the current cell. And the current cell is still selected. But if you click Shift Enter, notice the focus will move on to the next cell. Okay? Now, in order to write notes, either you can just have comments in Python. In order to have comments inside Python, you need to use hash or the square. So you can put hash and then write, this is my first ever Python line. Okay. So in this way, we're just typing a comment. But if you want to include text, like documenting, maybe you need to explain what you have done or what is the purpose of this notebook and etc. Then you can add, or let's say here, I'm going to move this away to the second line. Then I'm going to use this one just to type some explanation about what this notebook is about. So I can come here. After I select, I make sure I have selected the cell. And then I go, there's here a combo box. Okay. So once you open the combo box, you're going to have options, whether you need to type code or markdown or raw. Okay. For us, either you're going to use code or markdown. So you chose this time for markdown. So you choose markdown, and then you can type here whatever. And now notice this is no more Python. It's not colored like here. If you type print, is no more colored like with the green color, indicating this is just text. Okay. You can even have heading, like in Microsoft Word. If you like to have heading, then you can put hash. This hash here doesn't mean you have a comment. but you have heading 1. Because now I'm inside Markdown cell. It's not Python cell. If it's Python cell, it must be code, right? But this is Markdown cell. Now, to have heading 1, you can use hash again. 1 hash means heading 1. So you can put heading 1, for example. And then if you want to have heading 2, you put 2 hash, then heading 2. Then if you need heading 3, I mean the section, the level. And then you run again, Control plus Enter. Notice how the size for each heading is different, referring to the type of heading, whether it's heading 1 or heading 2 or heading 3. You can even include HTML if you like. You can include HTML, maybe image, source, you refer where the image is, but I don't have image now in the current folder, but you may if you like. Then you can put the path to your, or just the name of your image. If your image is inside the same folder, just you put the image name. Okay. A paragraph. Okay. Then let's try if we say style, font. What was the color? Font color, right? Let's say red. Then it's wrong. Style, font color, or just color. Yeah, just color. Okay, so the point is you can use HTML as well if you like to have proper formatting for your documentation. Okay, any question? Now, if you want to add new cells, like I need to write more code or add more markdown cells, just you can click on this button. Insert a cell below. Right, so you can add many cells as you like. Okay, you may move your cells up and down if you need to change their position. You may delete the cell. Okay, so it's quite easy. One more thing here, this is the indicator for the kernel. In other words, the Python that is currently running your notebook. So sometimes if you have, let's say, long statement running, like for loop or while loop, then you will see that this circle has become bold, indicating the kernel is busy. Okay, like for example, if I type here while true, then pass, this is just infinity loop. So now if I run, notice what happened, indicating the kernel is busy. And of course, this will never finish, right? This is infinity loop, just while true all the time, is going to keep executing. Now, if you come into this situation for some reason, you wrote dead end code, and kernel is not responding to anything from you and keeps showing you it's busy, okay? And you want to terminate the process, then you can come here and say interrupt the kernel. Okay, so now the kernel is interrupted and the kernel is free again, is idle. Any question? Easy environment, right? I like Visual Studio, create folder, a project, then go to create classes and so on. Now, if you want to run everything inside, let's say I wrote many lines and I don't wish to execute one by one. Maybe just I want to execute everything at once. I don't need to run here, then go run again. I need just to run everything at once from head of the file until the end. Then you can go to the kernel or run and then choose run all cells. If you wish just to run everything. And this can be required like when you need to submit your practical test and your assignment as well. So it should be everything running smoothly from head to toe. Okay. Any question? So now you are familiar with Notebook, expert already. You can teach, give a lesson about Notebook. Okay, so in this case, let's go to practical 1 back. This is just to familiarize with the environment. You can save if you like to keep it as your reference and then close. The file is going to be here. So now back to practical one, Python basics. Okay, I will go through it, and then I'll give you time to explore. If you have any question, then you let me know. I will come to you. Okay, so this is just introduction. So the first section, you can also see the heading here if you like to see it, how it's organized. This notebook. So it's going to be with introduction, checking on the interactive shell just to use print commands, writing comments, variables and data types, operators, control structure, function. Then we're going to see how you work with data. We have different types of data like list, string, dictionary, tables, NumPy array. We're going to talk about essential library for machine learning like NumPy. And we have Panda. So here just we're going to do overview. But anyway, for NumPy and Panda, we're going to have a separate session for them later on. Okay. Data processing with Panda, how to read CSV file, visualize with Matplotlib. Okay, so these are the 5 things are going to be covered for today's session. Okay, so we start with interactive shell. So it's just for print statement. If you like to get input from the user, then there's another command called input. If you like to, for example, ask the user to give you some data, then you can say input, for example, enter your name. And notice what's happened when I run. It says enter your name, and now the cursor focused on the empty cell showing me or providing me ability to write my name. So let's say, then I click enter. So it shows me the output from this input. Like if you are requiring some data from the input from the user side, okay, then you can use input. Anyway, for your assignment, you don't need it. Just I'm saying in case. Now, how to write comments, I already explained. You can use hash, okay? But make sure this is code. Well, every time you need to run Python code, make sure that this is a code cell, not Markdown. Markdown doesn't execute anything. Okay, it is just text. It has been treated as a text. If you want to run Python code, make sure that the cell is marked as code type. Then you run again, you're going to see the output here. And this is a comment. Now, how to define variables in Python are quite easy. Unlike other languages where you need to define your variable first, in Python, just go ahead. Name whatever variables you wish to use, assign whatever value you wish to assign. That's it. So for example, here, I have created 3 variables, age, name, and height. So age, I have assigned value 25. Name is Jamal as a string value. Height is 1.75. And then I'm using print statement to show out the result. So I'm printing out the values for each of these variables. You can also use operators. For example, here I have 2 variables representing number 1 and number 2, some values. And then I can use addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Then you can print out again. Okay. Now for control structure, how you can control the flow or the structure of your application. You're already aware we have if statement, right? Anyone doesn't know what does if statement do? Anyone? So all knows, right? You have some basics knowledge about programming. Okay, so if to control the path, how I need the code to be executed. Is it to go to the path 1 or path 2? So for example, here I'm checking if the person's age is over 18, then I need to print that he is an adult. Otherwise, he is a minor. If you need to create loop, is quite easy also. So the syntax is as follow. You have for, then the loop variable name, in, then you can provide some list of numbers or list of values. So in my case, I have used function called range. This is one of the famous functions in Python. Range, what does range do? Always is good, you test. So let's see what does range do. If I type range 1 to 5, So this one is going to create sequence of number starting from 1, ending by 5 minus 1. Okay, this can be a bit confusing. So if you want to print out the results, you need to convert this to a list. So you see the values are 1, 2, 3, 4. So in other words, range, again, what does it do? If you like to keep a comment, give you a sequence of number starting from a value you specify, ending by a value also you specify. But keep note, the first value, the starting value is inclusive. That means it's going to show up in the output, in the result. The ending value is exclusive. It won't show up inside the result. So in this case, I'm saying I need sequence of values starting from 1 up to 5 minus 1, which is 4. Okay? You may try, for example, 0 to 10. This one is going to print out values from 0 to 9. Okay, 0 to 9. Always remember the ending value is exclusive. It's not inclusive inside the output result. Okay? If you have a question, you may ask. No need to stare. Very simple. Staring for 5 minutes to the screen, or just raise your hand and say what question you have. That's it. Okay. So now what I'm saying here for the for loop, I need to get a value from range, the list or the sequence of values from range from 1 to 5. So every time inside the loop, I'm going to get one value from this range. So starting from 1 up to 5. So if you run the for loop, you're going to see that you're going to get 1 to 5. Because here I have 2 iterations. This is by using for loop. So if you like to indicate on the output, you can say print using for loop. And then the other one, let's say using while loop. Okay, so for error, always try to read the message. It says invalid syntax, print using for loop, and then there's something here referring to this one. Yeah, just typo. Okay, so now using for loop, I got this iteration. So every time just I'm printing out the value that has been assigned or used by each cycle inside for loop. Okay. And then for while loop, same. While loop is also easy. You use while, right? Then you specify the condition. So the condition here says, please execute this while loop as long as the value of I is less than or equal to 5. So you need to write a condition that can be evaluated to true or false. Boolean condition. Okay? Please, any question? Go ahead. Okay? So this is how you use while loop, and this is how you use for loop. Now, how you can define functions in Python. Defining functions is also quite easy. You use the keyword def, stands for define. Then you give your function name. Just give any name you like. And of course, you need to follow the rules that you know. For example, you cannot start with numbers, right? When you name a function, like any other language. So nothing new here. You give the function name, then you open parentheses and provide the argument's name. And notice you don't need to define the data type. Like usually, if you say, let's say you are in C++, probably you need to type here void, right? Then this one is a string, name, and etc. In Python, you don't need to do any of these. Just define the function name, then the list if you have one or more arguments, or maybe if you don't have any arguments, that's fine. Just you keep empty parentheses. So here I have created a function called greet. This function I'm going to pass the name for the person that I would like to greet. Then just print a normal message on the screen says hello, and for the person name, followed by person name, followed by the exclamation mark. So for example, here, I'm calling twice the function for two different people, and then I'm showing the result because of the print function. So this is like just procedure, right? Doesn't return anything. This function doesn't return anything. How about if you want to return a value? What do? If you wish to return value, let's say you are creating a function to add two values, val1, val2. Then just you type return val1 plus val2. And no need for semicolon, just like this. Now, if you wish to use, let's say add 10, 20, so it should show us 30. Okay. Easy. Okay, now we move on to working with data. Again, please, I cannot teach you everything about Python. You may try. These are the main things as just revision for the first session. At least for you, you get familiar rather than I jump straight away to use NumPy packages and those maybe in more extensive class. So just to get you familiar with Python. So, but anyway, this is not enough. You need to go and explore on your own. And now working with data. In order to work with data, we have different types of data structure. One of them is list. List is what? It's like an array, right? Because Python actually doesn't have built-in definition for array. So if you want to use something equivalent to an array, so you can use list. So in order to define a list, actually is very easy. You need to use the square brackets. Square brackets means you are working with list. If you need a proof to check the data type, so I can come here after I run this. And then there's a function inside Python called type. If you want to check the data type for a variable, then I can use type, and I'm going to check what is the type for this variable called numbers. So it says the data type is list. This is a list. Okay, if you wish to define an empty list, there's two ways. Let's say empty list. Then you can just type like this, easy. Empty square brackets. Okay, or you can type list, also can. Okay, either this, or you can type empty list equal list. This is in case if you wish to create an empty list. Like you are running data mining algorithm and you're capturing the performance every time you do one run, let's say. Okay, maybe with different configuration or different arguments, and then you run the data mining algorithm, and then you wish to see the performance, capture the performance for each run. Then probably you need to use a list. Okay, list can help you to capture or to store multiple values inside. Okay, so here I have created this list. Now, in order to access element inside the list, then we need to use what? Index, right? Like any language, you need to use index. So in order to use index, you need to use square brackets again, but this time is not to define a list, but to refer to specific value inside the list. And then I specify the index value. Now, Python is zero-based index, like C++, Java, C#. All of them are zero-based index. That means you start from index 0. Visual Basic 6, on the other hand, if anyone familiar with Visual Basic 6, then it's start from 1. The index starts from 1. Okay, Python is zero-based index. Okay, so here I'm trying, if you like to keep, if you're not so much familiar with indices, then you can keep a note here for yourself referring should be at index 0. This is index 1, this is index 2, this is 3, this is 4. If you're not familiar with indices, this is a good way. Sometimes putting too much effort into your mind to imagine can be difficult. So just have a note saying, okay, this is this value located at index 0. This value located at index 1. This value is located at index 2, and so on and so forth. Okay? Again, now I'm explaining, then you can explore. You're going to have enough time to explore. If you have a question, you can call me. Okay? Now, if you want to modify an element inside the list, then let's say I want to change this value at index 1 from 2 to 10. Then just I assign. If I print again, I should see that the second value has been changed to the value of 10. Then I can use for loop to print out each value inside the list. But Python is easy. If you, like for this example, actually you don't need to have for loop. Just you can, like this case, print numbers. So that's why Python actually can help you. No need to write too much coding. But anyway, this is good for you to practice. If you wish to iterate, we call iterate, or move over each value inside the list, then this is a good example where you use for loop. Any question? Okay. Things later will get more complex. So if you have a question, it's your chance. Now, say, sir, please, what is this? Can you explain this again? I'll be more than happy. That means we have interactive talk, input and output. Rather than one input direction, maybe it goes here, goes on the other side, that's it. Okay. Now, how to deal with the string inside Python? You need to define, like this case, let's say I'm typing variable call name, and I'm assigning the value is Jamal. Now, a string, if you know, or if you don't know, in any language, it's a sequence of characters. All right? So a string in any language is just a sequence of characters. If you wish to reach a specific character inside the string, you can use indexing as well. So actually, this one you need to correct. This should be J. And this one at index 2, this is 0. This is at index 1. This is at index 2. Then the output here should be M. Okay. Again, I forgot to do some changes. So now if you run, you should see the output is J, M. The message I have just printed. This one, if you want to concatenate, if you want to merge two strings together, then you can use addition. Okay, this is not arithmetic addition. This is concatenation. Then I'm calling or just printing the variable called greeting. String has many functions, like if you wish to lower down the characters, then you call lower. If you wish to uppercase all characters, then you call upper. If you wish to replace, then you provide the match, which characters that you wish to change. So from the name Jamal, right, I want to change the AL to become EEL. So it becomes Jamil. Okay, from Jamal to Jamil. Okay, so you can use replace function. Now, one thing in Python doesn't matter if you use single quote or double quote. It's up to you. Both are acceptable. Unlike other languages, like if you're working in C++, so single quote means? Single quote means? Sorry? Exactly, very good. So single quote means character. Right? So if I'm using like this in C++, it would give me an error saying this is not one character. This is many characters. Yes, there are many characters. But in Python, that's fine. Either you use single or double, both are acceptable. Okay. Again, if you're not familiar with indexing, always try to do this way. So this character is at index 0. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you are familiar how this indexing works. Now we move on to dictionaries. So dictionaries is another data type inside Python, also exists in C#. I'm not sure about C++. But the point of dictionary is used to define paired values. Paired values means I have like pair of values like inside dictionary where you have a key or the word that you're looking for and the definition. Okay, so in this case, if we look to this dictionary, firstly, in order to define dictionary, we don't use square brackets. Square brackets for just now we explained earlier. What is the other data type? List. So square brackets for list. Curly brackets for dictionary. So if you like to keep a note, curly brackets are used for dictionary. Now, once I create a dictionary, if I like to define its element, the element should follow this structure. So the first value, I need to provide pair, right? So if you notice, I have pair of values here, name and Jamal, then comma, then another pair of values, age and 20, then comma, then another pair of values, which is major information technology. Okay? The first value is called key. The second value is called definition or description. So this is the key and this is the description. This is how dictionary works, right? Like if you open any dictionary, you have list of keys, which are simply the words that you are looking for to get details or description about. Then the long text you have is the definition for each word inside the dictionary itself. So same concept. Now, in order to reach specific value, like indexing inside list, it's possible. But now, since these represent keys, right? Now, this time, these are the keys for this dictionary. So I'm going to use them in order to access an element inside the dictionary. So here, I say, what is the value, right, or the output for the key name? So for the key name, the output should be Jamal. For the key name age, the output should be 20. Because this is dictionary. Dictionary already have a list of keys. You can think of them. These are the list of keys and list of values here. These are the list of values. Okay? Do you feel like you are aliens? If you feel aliens, you don't understand, just say so. I can repeat. 100 times, no problem. I used to ask many questions when I was a student, even repeating same question for same matter a few times until I understand. So I think I bothered my lecturers a lot. Anyway, if you want to bother me also, you can. Just keep asking. Okay, now if you want to change value inside dictionary, then just you can specify the key again, like as we have done with list, and then assign the value. You can print the dictionary by calling print function. Okay. Tuples is another data type where also you can define values, multiple values, but the difference, tuple and list, there is one difference. List is modifiable, means I can come to the list and change a value inside like here. Tuples is mutable. That means once you create it, you cannot modify. You cannot change. This is the only difference between them. Okay, same way. In order to access value, you can use indexing. Now for this one, you see, tuples, sorry, are immutable. Immutable means unchangeable. You cannot change. So if you like to change value of tuple, it's going to give you an error saying tuple object does not support item assignment. Okay? Any question? Okay, then we move on to NumPy array. So NumPy array is very famous library in Python. If you search on the internet for any solution for data mining, or even I think any problem you're working on, you're gonna see NumPy is used a lot. NumPy is external package that is used to define array. Just I said earlier, array it has no structure or has no definition in Python. So this is why we used list earlier, right? But if you wish to use array, then you need to use package called NumPy. NumPy. Okay. In order to use this package first, you need to import. Like in C++, if you have another package, you need to use what you call hash, then include, right? You used to use hash include. Then you specify your header file, right? Let's say file.h, correct? In Python, you use import. Import, then the package name, then you give alias name. So alias name is helpful so that I don't need to repeat the full name package, the full name of the package. Just I can call this package by MP. Okay, if you like to change, you change. Name it whatever. Maybe Nasi. Then every time you need to use this package, you need to use the keyword Nasi. Okay? If you are hungry, then use Nasi. If not hungry, just use NumPy, NP. Okay? Now, in order to define an array inside Python using NumPy array, then we call MP, the alias name. Then we call array. And we provide or we initialize this array. So this array is going to have these list of values. Okay. If you like to check the data type, always you can call type. What is the variable name? Numbers. It says it is NumPy n-dimensional array. Okay, so it's n-dimensional array from the package NumPy. Okay, so now in this case, I have this NumPy array of these values. Another package we're going to use later a lot, and we're going to have also a session about it. But now just again, to you get familiar with Python and with those packages, it's called pandas. So pandas is helpful in order to deal with files. So later our data set, or maybe if you are working on your FYP project, you have data set inside CSV file or Excel file. Then you can use Panda. Panda helpful to define like Excel structure as a table, showing you the data as a table, and reading the data from a file. So here, before I read the data from the file, I have imported Panda and give the alias name PD. So PD is just the alias name for Panda. Then I'm using dictionary. Okay, you can create also, you can use Panda to instruct or create what's called data frame. Data frame is just like a table inside Excel file or inside database. Okay, so if you check here, when I print later, it's going to show me like a table. So this data frame is just simply a table structure where I have columns and I have indices for the rows and I have values inside these rows. Okay, so in order to define data frame, I call PD, the panda.dataframe, then I give the values. So here the values are not coming from a file, just are coming from dictionary. Okay, so here I have a dictionary, which I have provided the key is the name, let's say, of the student. the list of their names and their ages. Okay, so only 2. So I have 2 pairs inside this dictionary. Then I'm calling data frame. Then you can print this data frame, and the output is going to be this one. Okay. Any question? If you want to do plotting, then there's another library we're going to use later called matplotlib. Again, this is just give you a hint or overview on Python along with the packages that we're going to use. But later we have other session where we talk about visualization, another session where we talk about how we work with Panda, another session about NumPy and so on. Okay, so you don't need to become expert of NumPy just from now from this simple example, but just you understand what packages we are going to use along with this course. Okay. So matplotlib is a famous library to do visualization. So here I define values for x-axis and y-axis, simply are a list. Then I'm calling plot function. So this function plot is going to draw line plot. It's called line plot function. It's going to show me the output like this. Okay, so this is the x-axis here, and this one is the y-axis. And these are the values corresponding on each value on x-axis and on the y-axis. Okay, very good. Now, how you do read from a file? There's a function inside PD called read CSV, and you specify the CSV file name. So this one is going to create you data frame, and the data are fed from the CSV file. Okay. So you see that inside my CSV file, I got this data, and now I use panda.read CSV file to read this data here. So I got name, age, gender, salary, and label. Label can be any column name. Maybe credit worthy. Let's say we're talking about ability to borrow money from the bank and so on. Notice that some values have, what's happened? Some rows have no values. Like here, it says NaN. That means not a number. Okay, that's fine. But just pinpoint this because we have what's called data pre-processing. So how we work out if we have missing values. This is considered as missing value. So for a person called Hannah, her age is 30, gender is female, but salary is unknown. Just a second. Yeah, just 5 minutes. Then we can start. Yeah. Okay, so there are functions like drop NA, drop duplicates. You can use them if you want. For example, here, if you notice, we have duplicates. We have 2 rows with the same values, right? And we have 1 row with missing value. So if I need to remove or drop these rows, then I can call drop NA. This is going to remove all rows with missing value. I have single row here. And if I call drop duplicates, it's going to remove these rows as well. Row number 3 and 4. So if you check the output, it's going to be just from 0 to 3. Okay. Okay. Any question? Easy, right? Then there's another function called apply and map. So apply is simply if you wish to run some function on each and every row inside Panda. Map, later we're going to see, if you remember from our lecture, what did we say? That algorithms prefer numbers, correct? So in order to work on data set which has, like earlier, gender, male and female, we need to map these values into any numbers you wish. So this is why I call function call map, and I'm asking this map function to change each value of male to 0 and value of female to 1. So later the data set should look like this. Gender 1001. Okay. Anyway, why we are doing this? There are more explanation later I'm going to discuss during lecture time. But just to show you, this function is useful because some algorithms do not work on text. So you need to map these texts into some values. Okay. Then here, this apply is going to go into each row inside the age and increase the age by 1. That's it. So if you wish to run some function like transformation, later we're going to see, if you wish to change some value inside according to some function or formula, then you can use apply. And this is lambda function. That means inline function, just on the fly function. And we are changing each value to +1. So if you notice, age earlier was 25, 30, 35, now becomes 26, 31, 36. If you wish to print the first 5 lines, then you can call head. Sometimes your data set may include thousands of records, and you don't want to print all the records. So you can call head. Just print the first 5 rows. If you wish to print the first 10 rows, then you put 10 here. By default, it's 5. Either you specify or not, by default is 5. If you want to select or split your data, like X and Y, later we're going to use a lot. So we can specify the columns that are going for X and the label for Y, if we are working on predictive tasks. Okay, so the last one is about visualization. Same like the earlier task, we have X and Y. We call plot. This is called line plot. This is line plot. That means I'm looking for a plot. The output should look like a line. Okay, so this is called line plot. Then I provide X and Y. If you want to provide labels for X-axis and Y-axis, there are 2 functions. So here they're going to show up. This is X-axis. This is Y-axis. And this is called title. So this is title. You can specify this one, line plot, X-axis, Y-axis. Okay, maybe you can make it more specific. If this is age, then you say X-axis is just the age, for example. Okay, then should appears here age. Another function we're going to also explore later called hist. This is histogram. Histogram, where we give the data and then we print out the histogram like this. So here we are looking for 5 pins, 5 bars of histogram. Same X-axis, Y-axis, and title, and then you call show to show the plot. Finally is scatter plot. Scatter plot is like line plot, but the lines are not connected. In line plot, these dots were connected, right? This is why we got a line here. But in line plot, just a scatter. We're looking to just see the position of each data point in 2D, like in this example in 2D plot. Okay, so I will let you explore, do some changes, see the output, what happened, like for example, if you change X label, Y label, title. By the way, in order to use Matplotlib, I didn't mention this, so import Matplotlib, then the module inside the Matplotlib called pyplot, and we give alias name PLT. So always, instead of writing this next time, I just gonna write PLT, alias name. Okay, so you can keep note AS refer as alias. Any question before you sleep? Okay, then go and explore. If you have any question, you can let me know. Okay, I'll be here just in the next avenue. Anyone need a second explanation? You can again.